Anything else we put in the chat?
All right. We live.
Yo, we live.
This is the third one,
Let's
baby.
go.
Third episode, Rec
League.
League Podcast.
Let's go.
Sure.
Lit.
I'd like to introduce some of you guys and reintroduce the others, the OGs, the ones who have been here since episode 1, 2, the illustrious Rec League Podcast. Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
In this episode, we have Sam, Shaq, and Jay Boogs. And we're just going to get right into it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get to it. NBA 75. Talk to me.
All
What
right,
y'all feel
so
about
the
the
NBA,
75?
so the NBA just hit its 75 year, which is dope. Give it up to the NBA. Shout out to everybody that's been a contributor. And then they released a list of 75 of the greatest players in NBA history as to honor the league's anniversary. And so, you know, there's been a lot of chatter of who shouldn't make it, who should make it. This guy is better than this guy. This guy's resume is better than this guy's resume. This guy got snubbed. This guy didn't deserve it. So there's been a lot of chatter since the season started, since they released this list about who shouldn't make it or who should make it. You guys got a list of the players. Sam, you got a list in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so they got the 50 that's already set in stone. Let's read the next 25.
Right. So I have here, I haven't found a list where it just gives you the exact 25, but I'll name off a few, and if I just miss some of them, y'all can just fill it out for me. But I have Ray Allen, Carmelo Anthony, Elgin Baylor, Dave Bing, Kobe Bryant, Billy Cunningham, Stephen Curry, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Jason Kidd, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, Pete Maravich, Bob McAdoo, Reggie Miller, Earl Monroe, Shaquille O'Neal, Gary Payton, Paul Pierce, Dennis Rodman, D. Wade, Russell Westbrook, Lenny Wilkins, Dominique Wilkins. I think I left off Dave.
I think
Boucher.
Shaq was a part of the original 50.
Oh, he was a part of the original 50. So you see, so some of the names that I probably mentioned might have been in that original 50. So if you just know the ones that I've left off, then you just say it.
Yeah. So what do y'all think? First of all, what do y'all think about the NBA putting out this list before we get into the specifics? Like, what do y'all think of? But do y'all think they should have waited till 100, or do y'all think 75 was good?
No, 75 is good. Like, you know, that's a hallmark, a landmark type of year. And it's like, yeah, I like that they celebrated it. It's smart. And to even like in this era of everything's a sport debate, like they just inserted themselves right in the middle of it, heavy for those first few weeks of the season. It was like as a part of that real push to like get the NBA in the forefront. So I really like that. It's smart on that end.
Yeah, and I think even coming off of the heels of COVID, I think it was a great way to get everybody to commemorate the past players and to just get back into the history of the game, to get everybody pumped about actually just like wanting to be a part of the NBA or just like, you know, that community itself. I think the way they rolled out the 25 players was great. Everything about the rollout was great. The idea of adding 25 new players is great. I do think they went about it wrong about just like adding 25 players that could be from the past era, from the previous 50, while still adding new players. I feel like if they added 50 players already from the original list, they should have had a cutoff year where, okay, we made this list, we're not going to go back and pick from those old, that era that we already picked from, because we definitely have a new 25 that we can add from. So like in the example of Dominique Wilkins, where he was pretty much just a snub for the original 50, I felt like that falls on the NBA. That you can't just now snub somebody else from the next 25 just to add Dominique in. So I think it was a great concept. I think they just went about it a little bit wrong in how they added the players.
I'm one of those people that disagree with that. I think that when you're talking about the history of a game, when you're talking about an organization that has been around for 75 years, when you're talking about the greatest players to ever play in that game, you have to take in consideration errors. These are guys that dominated their eras, dominated their time. And you're talking about guys that built the NBA. Now, again, are there guys playing today that are better than guys that were playing before? Absolutely. But when you're talking about the 75 greatest players of all time, you have to take into consideration that this is an anniversary list, not a skills list, right? So I was cool with them adding 25 because they did an anniversary list for their 10-year anniversary. Or I believe it was 25. No, they did an anniversary list for their 25-year anniversary, and then they just kept adding on as time. So this is not something that's new. We just, the most popular one was the 50 because Mike was in it, Shaq was in it, Charles was in it. All of the popular names in basketball were in it. But they've been doing this since their first 25 years, and then they just kept adding players on. So I think to continue to do what they've been doing from the beginning was good. I don't think that they should switch that now.
So here's what sorry.
Yeah, so the reason why I feel like I agree with what Sam says in terms of the rollout, even though those guys were the foundation players, the game is bigger than it once was. All right, when it was the 50-year anniversary, 25-year anniversary, this is probably the second or third greatest game in the world right now, and so the amount of talent that has been created in the past 25 years it's like 100x what was in the past. So a lot of people are getting snubbed now. For them to go back and get those guys who are snubbed, it comes off a little bit sloppy because you're missing out on guys who are revolutionizing the game right now, that if put in any other era, they would be probably the greatest players of that era. And just because they're in an era right now where it's just like it's so inundated with skills doesn't mean that they should be now rejected because of these fundamental players or these foundational players.
Yeah, and I feel like we can say Dominique should have had his flowers. Like that's a L that the NBA has to take. They got to take that L for not adding him in that first 50. And if you look at now, it's like we can still say he should have belonged to that first 50, but you're not going to tell me that Dominique is a greater player than Tracy McGrady, or he's a greater player than Dwight. I just feel like on the accomplishments of what we know, what Dwight Howard or Tracy McGrady or what Klay Thompson has done, or what, come on,
guys,
we gotta be honest here. Vince Carter, you're gonna tell me that you're gonna add in Dominique Wilkins over Vince Carter?
Dominique Wilkins for his career averaged 25 and 7. What are we talking about here?
No, but
it's not about
for his career.
A stat that we're not taking away from, but you taking away from what VC3 did. Like what he did
Carter,
Toronto, listen, he literally put Toronto on their back. And they were
cool. There's no way Vince Carter's better than Dominique Wilkins. He's just not.
That just changes the whole thing. It's not about better.
No, I'm saying if Dominique Wilkins can't be the thing that we're saying, like I can hear y'all saying Dave Bing or somebody like that. Yeah. But we're not doing. Dominique Wilkins is a 75. Like he's a part of the 75 greatest. Okay. Even if we're talking about who's better, even if we're gonna go into that conversation, Dominique Wilkins belongs in the 75 best players.
Yeah, we're not talking about him. I'm talking about sorry, I don't know who Bob McAdoo is. I'm sorry. Y'all go.
Bob
McAdoo is certified. Bob McAdoo is certified.
But all right, that's my thing. My thing about the whole list, when I heard 75, I thought we were saying like the 75 best players, not even just greatest. So even with how Shaq explained it, as in, all right, they're just celebrating as everybody who has contributed to this company and to this organization of the NBA. So we have to give the Kuzis and the Bings and all those guys their due along with that. So, but when I heard 75, I thought we're hearing the 75 best players ever up until this point. And then I feel like those guys can be like appreciated and like, hey, like these are the guys that built this foundation. And then now that acknowledge that and then get to the guys that, all right, these are the best skilled, the best players that we've seen in this game. And then the list goes from there. But
I mean, that's another list.
I get the idea of this being like the 75 most influential or like the 75 greatest resume type of players for their respective eras. But in my head, that's where I had felt like, dang, I would love to hear this, what the NBA thinks is the 75 best or the 75 most skilled players that has played this game.
But you're okay. When you ask the NBA that, you're not just asking guys that were born in 1995 up until now. You're also asking guys that were born in 1980. You're asking guys that are born in 1970, 1960, 1950. These are all different opinions of who is great and who's not. At the end of the day, so do you think
somebody who was born in 1970, like who was watching the 70s and saying like, all right, yo, Pete Maravich was that guy, do you think they could be objective enough to say like, oh man, what this guy could do in this era, what Damian Lillard could do is better than what Pete Maravich could do? Because I feel like every era is going to be biased in that way. But I guess that's why.
But I agree. I'm not saying that they won't be biased. I'm also saying there is a play. It's the same way for us. Like 20 years from now, there's going to be somebody that says Donovan Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be somebody that says John Morant. Like, not guys that are superstars, but guys that were actually good in the league. 20 years from now, these kids are going to be like, y'all had Donovan Mitchell that was an all-star, y'all. And we're going to be like, are you crazy? Donovan Mitchell was nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at it from a standpoint of a guy that was raised in the 70s, a guy that was raised in the 60s. He had his superstars too, right? He had his guy, like Dr. J for them was like Jordan. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they had their guys, that Wilt Chamberlains, the Bill Russells, the Jerry West, you know what I'm saying? Like the Bob Cousy's, like those were their guys. Now I'm saying as in within the context of it being an anniversary team means the 25 team, the 50 team, and the 75 team. It just gets past. It's been happening like that since they've been doing an anniversary team.
All right, so I want to rebut that.
But Dominique Wilkins belong. Can we all agree that Dominique Wilkins?
Yeah, absolutely.
He was just he was the name that we brought up, but for the same idea.
For the original 50, I believe he belongs.
You don't believe he belongs in this right now, like 75?
I think I agree with what Sam is saying. Sam is saying that they messed up by not having.
They messed up. I think that the NBA has to take the L. I don't think Shaq should have been a part of the original 50. I think from where, of course, where his career ended out to be, of course he deserves that spot. But from at that moment, just like how we're saying Anthony Davis shouldn't be in this 75 at this moment, even though he got a championship, even though his stats could say that, yo, he's probably one of the best power forwards to ever play the game, you're not going to put Anthony Davis in that conversation because you know there are players that deserve their due respect at this time.
But you're also saying, but you're also saying that Dominique Wilkins doesn't belong. Like if we're talking about 75,
I'm not saying he don't belong. I'm just saying that there are other players that deserve this moment. You know what I mean? Like Damian Lillard shouldn't have this moment right now.
But Dominique Wilkins does, right?
Dominique Wilkins had his moment. Dominique Wilkins had his moment, and everybody understood.
So he's saying the NBA has to take the L, and Dominique Wilkins has to take the L because the NBA didn't mess.
You gotta take the L.
But who are you putting in over Dominique Wilkins? Like, I just want to know.
Over Dominique Wilkins, I said my names. I'm okay if they would have left out Dominique and they would have put in. If they would have put in Dwight, if they would have put in what's his name? I feel like I'm Charles right now. If they would have put in Klay Thompson, if they would have put in Tracy McGrady or Vince Carter,
can I just go down the list of Dominique real quick? Let me just go down the list of Dominique's scoring averages for his career. Can I just go down the list?
We don't need scoring.
Nobody. Hold on. His first year he has 17. Second year 21. Third year 27. Fourth year 30. 29, 30, 26, 27. 26, 28, 30, 26, 25, 30, 17.
That's okay.
That's great.
You're putting Vince Carter over that?
Yes, for the multiple of reasons why somebody's on the list. It's not just only that one particular thing. They're scoring. Yeah, like this man literally brought Toronto to the basketball to the forefront of Toronto. But before that, this is what I'm trying to say. We're confusing what this list is because the list is confusing. For Klay Thompson to feel slighted, and he's in the NBA, and he's understanding what this is, and he still feels a way about not being on the list, we should also feel like, yo, this is a confusing list. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, who decides who stays on, who's off, you know, who got snubbed the last time, who should have been on a 50, who's now on the 75. Mm-hmm. If there's players in the NBA who are confused about why they're not on the list, and they're looking down the line and say, I should be here, and this guy shouldn't, then we should have something to say about it as well.
That's just out of a competitive nature. Yeah.
It's more than this competitive nature. There's a reason why.
There's a reason.
They're saying
because they're thinking about it as a better, like, I am better than this guy, so I need to be on the list.
When we say specific things. No, go
yeah,
ahead.
So what I'm trying to say is that the understanding of what this list really is not really clear for them to be saying, yo, I'm better than these people.
It is clear.
They don't.
It's just that if we're talking, I think it's clear. It's just that the generation today, it's a more I'm better, more skilled. That's their focus.
It's not because if we're talking greater,
nobody in the other generation is complaining about this list. They're keeping their mouth shut and cool with the list. I bet you Dominique was upset about.
Of course, but
exactly.
That's like, we're talking about currently right now. I don't think it's confusing. I just think Klay feels like he should be on the list.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Like,
it's confusing.
It doesn't matter who else wasn't on it.
For you to have Damian Lillard without a ring, without a scoring champion, without any real accolades to his name, for him to be on that list over Klay Thompson, who has 3 current NBA championships, who's regarded as probably the second greatest shooter alive or ever, or even over Dwight Howard, who's regarded as one of the best defensive players of all time, and who was at a point probably one of the best players, probably the best player in the league, and for a period amount of time was the best center in the league. You can't tell me that it's not confusing that you have Damian Lillard, who has never really who's never touched the finals.
I was very
come on.
The AD and Dame thing, like those are the 2 names that I do feel like they can be worthy of that being in the 75, but like I was like shocked that both of those names were like,
You don't got an MVP, you don't got a scoring champ, you don't got a NBA Finals, even a attendee ticket. You don't got even a ticket to the NBA Finals. Come on, bro.
That was funny. That was weird to me.
I think there are a lot of people that feel like Dame should be in there over Klay.
Come on, Shy.
There are a lot of people that feel like Dame should be in there over Klay.
They're all wrong.
Me, for one, I don't think Klay should be there over Dame. I don't think Dame should be in it.
I don't think Dame should be in it.
I don't think Dame should be in it. But if we're going to replace Dame, it has to be Dwight Howard. Like, it can't be Klay. Can't be Klay.
And what about AD?
You can't put Klay over AD. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, you can.
Yeah, you can. Because AD didn't win. AD didn't win as the main, no, continue, Keon. Yeah, exactly. And when he was supposed to be the main
AD was what?
AD was a role player.
No.
AD in the finals, and throughout the playoffs, even though he was supposed to be the main.
He's the second best player.
When Ghost.
You making me switch sides now. Wait.
Oh, wait. All right. So role play is a little bit.
That's OD.
Bit crazy.
We just were talking about
Caruso being a role player
last episode.
He was a player.
Yo,
nah,
that's like AD was not no role player.
AD was the reason why we
a core player.
We needed AD. AD was guarding Jimmy Butler in the finals, bro.
AD was one of the 5 best players in the league. Maybe 3. One of the 3. You can't be a role player and be one of the 3 best players in the league.
Klay Thompson probably has one of the best shots of all times, if not one of the best shots of all times, and is the second best shooter of all times. And he's a defensive juggernaut. And
he's not the second best shooter of all time.
Yes, he is.
He's not.
We could get into that again because I don't know.
Second best shooter of all
That's
time.
not.
I think people paired like they paired him and Steph together as like 1 and 2 when it was Steph was really one by himself.
Mechanics then
guys. Ray Allen is the second best shooter of all
All
time.
right, hold on,
man.
hold on. Everybody,
Come on,
just calm down for a second.
Ray Allen
He has
is
a
the
better
second.
shot mechanic than even Steph Curry.
Huh?
Guys, that's cool. That's cool. Ray Allen is a better right now. Ray Allen is a greater 3-point shooter than Klay Thompson. What are we talking about?
Gosh.
How many
What are we
rings
talking
Ray
about?
I
Allen got?
really I'm on the
Klay-
I'm
Klay
on
is.
the
How many
It's
rings
not
does Ray Allen
solidified.
have?
Like, but they're saying it like it's solidified.
yeah. I
like
don't think
Klay-
Klay
It
is a
is-
not just
solidified.
It
solidified.
is solidified. It
I
is
think because
solidified.
Steph,
It
I
is
think
solidified, bro.
what we've done is because they're the Splash Brothers and they've
No,
had their moments
Klay has-
together.
Nah.
I think that because Steph was a solidified one, we made Klay a solidified two.
we
But
don't.
really, Steph is just a solidified one, and Klay is in that top 5, top 6, and
Yeah, I'll give him top
he
5.
can be solidified as a 2. But even the numbers, he has to pass those guys up. Like even people were like, Steph himself was like, "Yo, I'm not
No,
calling
man.
myself the greatest shooter ever until I get this record and pass Ray Allen and Reggie Miller." And now he can say I'm the best shooter ever. But like everybody else was giving Steph that title, but even Klay, he has to pass those guys. He's had moments that those guys haven't had, and we can always list off those moments of 60 points and 11 dribbles and
Those
37.
moments
That's
matter.
great.
Yeah, don't do that. I like
Don't
you
write
guys,
off
like,
those moments.
We
You guys
are right,
can
but
go for
but
stats
Ray
that
Allen
go
didn't
to
get
your
a chance to
argument.
have those. Reggie Miller didn't. They didn't have those moments because
What are
they
you
weren't
talking
taking
about? He was a
10
part
threes
of
a
a big
game.
three, but he was
I'm
a
talking
part
about
of a big
in terms
three.
of volume. Like they didn't shoot with the same volume. So
Can I say this?
We can't compare Klay's high moments to Reggie's high moments because Reggie was taking mid-range shots. And
I
Klay
don't
was,
think I don't think Klay is the guy to replace AD. If we're gonna replace AD with anybody, it has to be Chris Webber. To me,
Oh,
it has to be Chris Webber.
hold on.
To me, Chris
He's
Webber
not-
was
he's not my favorite.
playing in an era where being a power forward was hard.
the golden
was
era of
tough.
power forwards.
The golden era of power forwards, and he was one of the best. Constantly taking that team to a
20 and
conference,
10.
constantly taking that team to a conference finals. Obviously, he was bumping into Shaq and Kobe every year, so it was hard to get to the finals. Like Chris Webber deserves a top 75 spot.
So I
Like-
feel like that's when back to my thing about like the 75 best players or most skilled players. I feel like Chris Webber is in that 75 because of what he could do, and he was one of the first like hybrid power forwards who could really like even like him, KG, like they kind of like that same mold where it's like I could bring this ball up the court and play point and run the offense to me, take the mid-range shot, go in the post and do everything. And I feel like he got overshadowed because he's playing against Tim Duncan and KG, and then Dirk is coming up, and he still had Jermaine O'Neal, and he still had Rasheed Wallace, and he got the tail end of Karl Malone. Like that's a lot, and they all had to really kill each other off. And there's only Tim is at the top of the top, and KG made it out that bunch too. But like Chris Webber gets overshadowed because he didn't get to that mountaintop. And
Real quick.
But either way, I do think
Well,
Dwight
say,
Howard is
here's the
clear
thing, though.
cut.
You guys take an argument by saying, this is the stat that really matters. That's why they got to be there. And then you gloss over the stats that don't hold to your argument. Like you definitely just rambled off Klay Thompson's accolades and said, oh, those are not significant because of these guys' accolades.
no, I didn't get to bring like I'm saying in terms of when you're talking about shooting.
But the man is a champion. Hold on. The man is a champion. So he's battle tested and he has them.
Times.
Okay. Then not only that, he's a defensive superstar. Like so not only is he one of the greatest scorers, he's also one of the greatest defenders of all time. Right. And he was playing on one of the greatest teams of all time. And he was the third option when he could have been a number one option anywhere else. And he just ramble off. Oh,
We don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know if Klay Thompson can be a number one option anywhere.
Just like
else.
you knew,
You
We don't
scored
know.
60 in the game. You telling me he can't be number one option?
KD was not
Come
where
on,
he was
man.
anywhere else. He would be number one when he was on OKC and he was taking the second.
He was number one.
Second fiddle.
KD was number one. Over
Yeah,
there.
but he was taking second fiddle in terms of shots and in terms of like.
Because Russ was a nut.
But KD was still the number one option. KD was the number one option.
Not the number one.
Let me
option.
just say my argument with that was a shooting argument. I didn't enter in if Klay needs to be in the 75 or not. I wouldn't be mad if he's on the 75. But my shooting argument was that in terms of volume, like in terms of him passing Reggie and Ray, I feel like you cannot see that like the shooting accomplishments Klay had was you have to find that match for Reggie and Ray because they're in different eras and whatnot. But pound for pound, I don't know if he's past those guys yet. Like it's still a debate. It's not a debate with Steph because I feel like even with Clay and Reggie and Ray, they played the same way. The reason Steph surpassed all of them was because of the dribble work with the range and the regular spot up stuff. Clay
we're also forgetting.
We're
also forgetting if we're talking about attributes, let's not act like Ray Allen was a slouch defender. Ray Allen was a great defender.
I don't think he's a better defender than Clay though. But
Ray Allen had to guard Kobe whenever they would playing. Kobe, like Ray Allen always had to guard the best two guard over there.
Yeah,
so Ray Allen was just as good at defense as Klay Thompson.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Yes, he was.
Klay
There you go.
Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson. Listen, I have it up right here. Klay Thompson was selected to an all-defensive team. Ray Allen has 0. All right, so we're not going to do that.
1-0 in a league that nobody
all
plays.
Defensive
That's
team.
1-0 in a league that nobody plays defense in.
An all defensive team on the shooting guard position. That is big because in this league right now, defensive. If you do specialize in defense, you still play defense because you still have to stay in play. You still have to stay in front of players. You still have to counter their moves. You can't say that players today don't play defense at the 2 and the 1 position. They do play defense. If you are a defensive player, you play defense.
They just don't hack like they used to.
Exactly. They play defense.
That's bullcrap. I'm gonna tell you why that's bullcrap. That's bullcrap because y'all only looking at the little highlights from the Jordan doc, but y'all not watching full games. The same way with the team that Isaiah had, y'all only saw them as bullies punching people in the air, but y'all never saw that team was actually great at defense. Like their defensive structure, their rotations, their rim protection was actually great. If we're talking about Ray Allen as a defender, Ray Allen was defending in an era where Tony Allen and Kobe Bryant and all these other two guards that were great defenders. Ray Allen had to climb to make all defensive. You had to climb to make an all defensive team at Ray Allen's era. Now, nigga, all you have to do is be a pest.
Nah,
all you have to do is be a pest, and you make an all defensive team.
That's not true.
Patrick Beverly don't be really guarding nobody.
And Patrick Beverly don't be on them teams.
He don't be exactly. He don't be on them teams.
They be calling him like the
he be calling himself the best.
No, exactly. He's self-proclaimed. There's no one around here saying exactly.
The accolades do not.
Patrick Beverly don't got no all defensive team.
No, you don't.
I don't know.
Let me fact check that right now.
He might have a second team or something.
He be calling himself.
Yeah. Tony Allen called himself it, and he got his first team. Whatnot. But Klay Thompson is one of them guys who's guarding 2 and 1.
No, I'm not taking that away from him.
Klay Thompson is guarding in this era of this level of point guards where Klay Thompson is guarding the Dame, the Kyries, and those guys, the Chris Pauls,
and Ray had to guard the Kobe's, the T Max, the Vinces. Like he had to guard.
Patrick Beverly has 2 second team all defensive teams, so it doesn't matter.
He didn't get to the echelon of the first team.
We don't consider you.
Chris Paul,
I think
probably.
And even when it comes to shooting for Klay Thompson and Ray Allen, Klay Thompson does have the higher percentage through their best season, through every season, through playoffs. So if you want to talk about shooting, he shoots it better at percentage-wise. If we want to talk about who can score at a higher clip, I think we still give that to Klay Thompson. I know that we got to see Ray Allen do it a little bit more in terms of off the dribble during his Sonics tenure, but, you know, the basketball is different nowadays. We don't have to see Klay Thompson do all that dribbling to score 60. And I think that's a greater accomplishment.
I mean, it's cool. Like I think Klay is one of the best, but at the same time, you have to look at moments also. Ray Allen's moment with Miami, like that's a moment. Reggie's moments in those high clutch moments, high clutch situations, like those are moments. You understand what I'm saying?
Klay does have moments. The game 6 in OKC when they're down 3-1, getting 41 in game 6. Klay has his moments. I feel like I'm just saying my thing is debatable.
Not clear.
He's not locked in as 2 for me. He could be 2, he could be 3, he could be 4. I'm saying the only person locked in is Steph Curry at 1. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that.
You definitely y'all told him, y'all said top 5. That's OD. He's definitely.
He's
That,
top five.
he's in that range. He can be. It could be
Bro,
Steph,
Who's number
Reggie,
4?
Ray. It could be
Who's
Steph,
four?
Ray, Reggie.
I give it. To me, I have it. I have
You
it.
put Reggie over Clay.
I feel very fine putting Reggie over Clay.
I
I feel
have
fine
it.
putting Reggie over Ray.
Look,
I
I have
respect
it
That's
as
that.
disgusting,
Steph.
bro.
I
That's
have
really
it as
disgusting.
Steph, Ray, Reggie, Clay, and then fifth could be Larry Bird or whoever.
You put Larry. First off, that's you put. Wait, you so. All right, wait, hold on. You put
I said
Reggie over Clay.
Ray. I said Steph, Ray, Reggie, Clay, and the fifth could be interchangeable.
Don't
Don't
between Larry
disrespect
Bird.
Reggie Miller, bro.
That don't make no sense. But listen, y'all,
How?
we
That's
have
Reggie Miller.
listen, y'all, we have 4 minutes left, so I want to do a real quick question. So swap one player on the 75 team for a snub that you feel like should be on the team, and then in addition to that, give me one player that you feel like is a personal favorite that you would add to the 75.
Hey, please do not say Kyrie Irving. I
That's
don't
it.
want to hear you say Kyrie
That's a
Irving.
fact.
All right, so
Please do
Shaq,
not.
we'll start. Shaq, we'll start.
You
We'll start
already
with
know
you,
where I'm going.
and
I mean,
we'll give you a minute each.
Dwight Howard. I don't even got to say nothing. I ain't even got like Dwight Howard over Anthony Davis. Like that's just clear to me. Dwight Howard is a defensive player of the year. He brought a team to the finals, put a team on his back. Dwight Howard was a top 5 player in the league for about 2-3 years during his tenure in Orlando. He was the best defensive player in the league. He was the best center in the league. Dwight Howard has had a better career so far to me than Anthony Davis.
Okay, and what's your personal player that you would add into to the top 75 that's not currently on there?
I just said Dwight Howard.
No, but I mean like a personal favorite that might not be like a collective agreement or a collective like, hey, this is our unanimous decision, but this is my personal one.
You're gonna have to come back to me on that one. Come back to me on that one.
All right, I'm
Go
gonna
to Jason.
quick. I'm gonna go quick. Yo, put my man J Kidd on that. Is Jason Kidd on that list?
He got to be on.
Yeah, he's on
Yeah,
that
he's
list.
on
He's
there.
on that
Yeah,
list.
he's on there.
He's
All
on
right, so
the list.
everybody
Who
who
you
I
taking
love
out?
is on the list. I don't care. Everybody who I love is on the list. Let's go.
All right,
Hey,
Jason, who you taking
hey,
off?
you know
Who
what's
put
up.
it in?
You know what's up, Shaq. Take Dame time out of there and put my man's Kyrie there, and then put Kyrie. Kyrie is the answer for both questions. Kyrie Irving.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
I don't need
All right.
nothing else needs to be said.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
That's nasty. Kyrie not even better than him.
Kyrie's definitely better.
Shaq, you got your personal?
Yeah, I got my personal. My personal is probably going to be, y'all probably gonna hate this, but I mean, Pau Gasol.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, we hate
Hey,
it.
that's a Laker legend.
I don't hate
Yeah,
it,
fine.
but it's
Pau Gasol. I was choosing
All right.
between Pau Gasol or Chauncey Billups, but I'm going to
Ooh.
go Pau Gasol.
I do agree. Oh, Loki agree with Sam. If I had another favorite, I feel like T-Mac would be like somebody that's like that I was one of my favorites that I would want to see there. But I understand why he's not there. But like T-Mac skill wise, just his peak is up there with anybody's peak in terms of skill. So
And then in terms of me, I'd say I'd take out Dame, I'd add in Howard. And then y'all already know who I'm gonna be adding into the top
all right,
75
bro.
list.
All right, we could
Who we
close
gonna
this out.
add? We gonna add Rondo.
Yeah,
that's
we can get up
that's
out
my
of here.
personal favorite.
Yo,
That's nasty.
Yeah, that's nasty.
a great episode of the Rec League Podcast, episode 3.
Yes, sir.
Episode 3. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Rec League.
Like, comment,
All
subscribe.
that.
Hit that button, y'all.